Thank you, Madam Speaker, and appreciate the debate on the last amendment, and just have a few comments in response to a lot of the debate that has been had today, and even in the opening comments by the proponent of the bill, is that what we are doing here is essentially codifying what's in the Constitution. We've heard that phrase over and over and over again today during the debate. And it's interesting because when I go back to look at the Constitution, Article 6, Section 7, which is where we are here today, and I find that we did codify part of the Constitution. In lines 13 through 15 of the bill as amended, we, what I would argue, selectively codified the Constitution by removing such electors or person's illness and replacing that with sickness, and then in subsection 4, removing such electors or persons and leaving physical disability. So I find it interesting that we selectively codified that portion, but when we look at subsection 1, such electors or persons active service with the armed forces of the United States, it's interesting, I find that that wording is not in the Constitution. And in fact, similar wording used to be in Article 6, Section 8 of the Constitution, but that was amended in 1992 to just allow for registration of voters in absentia. So it brings me to the question, Madam Speaker, why? If this was about codifying the Constitution in statute, why are we only selectively codifying the Constitution? And I think that has been at the root of a lot of the debate today, is why that has been the rationale for the changes in sections through lines 13 through 15, subsections 3 and 4. Yet other changes that are in this proposed language have nothing to do with the Constitution. And it makes you ask, why? Why is it that this body, the legislative branch of government, is making election law, what I would argue is more ambiguous, more open to interpretation? Why? And I have not heard an answer in any of the debate on that issue. People have just risen up and said, we're codifying the Constitution in statute because it's clear in the Constitution. Well, if it's clear in the Constitution what we mean for this election law, why did we not codify all of Article 6, Section 7? I don't know, Madam Speaker, because I have not had an answer to that, but it leads me to question the intent of this language when that has been what has been proposed and debated. Most of this debate is that is all we are doing here. When you look at the changes, for instance, in lines 8, that has nothing to do with the Constitution. The other changes in lines 11 to 13, once again, have nothing to do with codifying the Constitution. So it leaves us wondering why. And I think it leaves the voters wondering why. The residents of the state of Connecticut wondering why would the legislative body make our election law less defined? Because that's essentially what we've done. Going back to line 8, during the hours of voting is very clear. There are 14 hours essentially each day that the polls are open from 6 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night in most towns. That is clear during the hours of voting, but now we make it on the day of such primary election or referendum, which implies that you could be gone for simply an hour, as I proposed in a question to the proponent, be gone from an hour out of town during a day, and you attest and certify under perjury that that impeded your ability to show up in person at the polls, therefore were eligible to receive an absentee ballot. And I guess that's my concern here. When we look at election law, the legislative branch of government under the U.S. Constitution has the responsibility to codify in statute, or in our case, in some manner to the Constitution, the form, manner of elections. And in this case, we are walking back from that in some manner. And I'm concerned by that because I don't understand why. Why is it, once again, as I started this latest, is why is it that we are only codifying certain sections of the Constitution but not all? And because of that, because it leaves question in that, I do not believe that this bill as proposed is right for the state of Connecticut. I believe the language that was there to begin was very clear, very precise, not open to question. And what we have done in this legislative body, which we should never do, is leave statute open to interpretation by others. We should be very clear and very crisp about what we intend in the language. Not as some say, the debate will give legislative intent. We should not leave it legislative intent and then leave it up to a judge whether to take that legislative intent up when a case is before them. We ought to be very crisp. And as I stated, I think the existing language as I read it is very clear. And what we have before us is not. And that's why I will be opposing the bill as amended. Thank you, Madam Speaker.